Hi there, and welcome to Real Talk Fitness with AMPT. I'm your host, Ashley Cummins. For those of you who are just jumping in and listening, I'm a busy mum of two energetic boys, a business owner, a wife, and someone that likes to challenge herself in multiple areas in the fitness realm, from high rocks to running events to powerlifting, and still dabble a little bit in CrossFit. So I know what it's like to place unrealistic expectations on yourself or just overall get confused with all of the information out there. So that's why I've created Real Talk Fitness with AMPT to help cut through the noise and get straight to the point. Today's episode is really raw. Something came up, and a huge shout out to my personality coach, Steve Johns, and my coach Ish for bringing something to my attention that I had never fully recognized about myself. Your journey on self-development and self-awareness never truly ends. You grow and you evolve, and when you create awareness, you can then put and implement things to create change. So today's episode, I'm going to talk about one of the strongest parts of my personality is the need to be in control. And on the surface, that sounds like strength. It's helped me immensely build a business, push through challenges, achieve goals, and support the people around me. But what happens when the very thing that has made me successful has also become the thing that stops me from truly living? And I've realized that being in control has become a safety blanket. It stopped me from fully feeling my emotions. It stopped me from celebrating my wins, accepting compliments, and recognizing how far I've actually come. Instead, I'm always chasing the next thing, the next goal, the next challenge, the next version of myself, that when I achieve that, I'll finally be enough. And this kind of ties in with one of my first episodes, I'll be happy when, that monotonous treadmill. So today was a day of reflection. 8 years ago, someone I thought was my best friend turned out to be someone who slowly chipped away at my confidence and my sense of self. Before that friendship, there were other experiences in my life that made me question my worth and left me carrying stories about who I thought I needed to be. I threw myself into self-development. I studied it, taught it, become passionate about helping others heal, because deep down, I was really just trying to heal parts of myself too. The reality is that sometimes that people who spend their lives helping others are also carrying wounds that they're still trying to understand. So today I asked myself some difficult questions. Why do I struggle to sit with my emotions? Why do I constantly feel the need to achieve more? Why do compliments make me feel uncomfortable? And why the hell is resting so difficult? Last question was really deep. It was like, why do I tie my self-worth to my body, my success, and what I can offer other people? And that was perhaps the hardest question of all. Who am I when I'm not achieving? So I've realized for years being busy has protected me from having to feel. If I'm planning, working, helping, training, or chasing that next goal, I never have to stop long enough to sit with fear, sadness, or doubt. Now, my personality coach talks about above and below the line. Now, those feelings are very much below the line, right, which keeps you in a victim mentality. It's okay to recognize them, feel them, but let them go by. But I wasn't even doing that. I've worn titles my entire life. A mum, a wife, a coach, an athlete, a business owner, a mentor. But underneath all of those titles is simply a person trying to figure out if she's enough without them. And that is wild and feels so fucking scary. Because when you've spent your whole life proving your worth through achievement, slowing down can feel like failure. And that's scary, that need for control. So if you've spent years being the strong one, allowing yourself to be vulnerable can feel unsafe, right? When you spent your whole life in control, surrendering to your emotions can feel terrifying. Today's episode isn't about having all the answers. It's about being honest enough to admit that growth never stops. It's about understanding that healing isn't always about becoming someone new. Sometimes it's about giving yourself permission to feel the things you spent years trying to avoid. And maybe the bravest thing we can do is stop asking ourselves, what do I need to achieve next? And start asking, what am I actually feeling right now? Then it opened the door to what are we actually running from? After asking myself those questions, I realized that maybe the reason I always need to be busy, productive, and in control isn't because I love achievement. Maybe it's because achievement gives me certainty. And when you're constantly moving, setting goals, chasing the next thing, you don't have much time to sit with uncomfortable emotions. You don't have to face rejection, loneliness, fear, or self-doubt because there's always another task to complete. Now, what happens when that noise stops? What happens when you're sitting alone with your thoughts and you can't distract yourself with work, training, social media, or helping everyone else? That's where I found the real work begins. And if you've ever done any self-development with me, you'll find that I always have a theory of 5 whys underneath the real reason. Something that really hit hard was asking myself, who am I without my titles? Who are you if you're not a mum? Who are you if you're not the worker and the title you give yourself in your job? In my circumstance, who am I if I'm not the coach? Who am I if I'm not a business owner? Who am I if I'm not the mum who has it all together? And who am I if my body changes? So many of us, and even myself, have built an identity around what we do instead of who we are. We become so attached to being the strong one, the successful one, or the person everyone relies on, that we forget we're allowed to just exist without earning our worth. Which leads me into, if you're a person that compliments feel uncomfortable, and I know I am, a lot of this ties into that as well. So people can tell us we're doing an amazing job, that we're inspiring, that we're strong, or that we've changed their lives. But for some reason, we brush it off. Anyone can do it. It's nothing special. I should be doing more. The truth is, sometimes compliments force us to confront a version of ourselves that we don't believe. And that's the problem, right? Is that when someone gives us a compliment that feels odd, it isn't that it's untrue, it's that we don't believe it. So if you deep down don't believe you're worthy, every compliment feels uncomfortable because it clashes with that story that we've been telling ourselves for years. That fear of slowing down. For years, I convinced myself that resting was lazy. And if you're listening and you feel the same, slowing down doesn't mean you're falling behind. That if you stopped achieving, people would stop valuing you. But what if, just what if, rest isn't weakness? What if constantly needing to prove ourselves is actually exhausting and we disguise it as ambition? What if we don't need to earn our place in the world by being productive every second of every day? And if you're listening and you feel the same, that, being productive makes you feel worthy, I really challenge you to just sit with your emotions and ask yourself why. What are you feeling? Which then leads me to our relationship with our bodies. And this is one of the hardest questions I've ever asked myself, is what am I actually afraid of when it comes to my body changing? What am I afraid of gaining weight? What am I afraid of if I feel like I'm losing control? What am I afraid that if my body changes, will people value me differently? Am I afraid that I've tied my worth so hard to how I look and perform for so many years that I don't know who I am without it? So if you're listening and you've tied yourself to, I'll be happy when I get to this, or even like myself, I made a statement to my coaches that I was at my happiest when, and it's tied to a body weight or a way I look. And to be honest, that wasn't what was making me happy, is that I can choose that confidence now. There's something underlying in what I'm afraid of to have that confidence in a different body. For so many people, body image isn't really about the body at all. It's about feeling accepted. It's about feeling safe. It's about wanting to be loved and respected enough. And this is external. We chase this through other people, when really, if you sit with our emotions and really ask deep questions, this lives within us. And all of us have the ability to love ourselves, respect ourselves, and that confidence will show regardless of whatever your body looks like. And then you'll find that everything else becomes a lot easier because you value who you are and the space you take in the world without the pressure of being the strong one or being the one that always succeeds. And this spirals back to asking yourself those questions. Is like really sitting with your feels. At what point in your day do you just have 5 minutes to just allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling about whatever it is that's going on, and just sit with it? I know myself, I don't. As soon as they come up and they feel uneasy, I'll shut them down with logic and I'll gain that control back. But in all reality, you can feel the emotions and not react, because we know deep down they're not true. They're feelings, right? And feelings and emotions aren't logical. They become from our thoughts. So if we allow ourselves to feel it, we can sit with it, accept it, and then move on, rather than constantly shutting it down. Now, if you have pressure of always being the strong one, when people see you as strong, you start to believe that you have to carry everything alone. You become that person everyone turns to, the person who gives advice, the person who has the answers. But strength, and real strength, I've realized, isn't pretending everything's okay. Strength is admitting when you're struggling. Strength is allowing yourself to feel. Strength is asking for help when you've spent your entire life helping everybody else. So if you're listening, I want you to ask yourself some of these questions. Who are you without your achievements? What emotions are you avoiding by staying busy? What titles are you holding yourself to? What are you afraid would happen if you slowed down? When was the last time you celebrated yourself or accepted a compliment and believed it? And what compliments do you struggle to accept? This one's really deep, because this really creates that awareness on the story that you're telling yourself. Because if you struggle to accept compliments, there's a higher chance that you don't believe what that person's saying. So this comes to your beliefs. Are you chasing success or are you chasing worthiness? This is a huge one. With your successes, are you chasing those to become more worthy? If you stopped trying to prove yourself tomorrow, would you still believe that you're enough? Now, my most recent podcast with Vanessa, she said a really deep question, and it was finding out who you truly are and what you truly want. And she made a comment to say, if you take away everything and the validation from others and nobody was watching, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Because today's episode is about creating awareness, having the ability to emotionally reflect on your journey. Because maybe healing is finally giving ourselves a permission to be human. Humans have feelings. Feelings and emotions aren't logical. Doesn't mean they don't happen. Doesn't mean we're not allowed to feel them. There's a difference between responding and reacting to these feelings that we have. If you allow yourself to feel them and just sit with it, you can then choose to respond rather than react. And that's a wrap of today's episode of Emotional Reflection. I really hope this episode's helped you realize that you are allowed to slow down. As I said, if you were to take away what Vanessa said in the last episode, everything external and nobody was watching, who do you want to be? How do you want to live? Because at the end of the day, you are the most important part of your journey. And you matter. Doesn't matter what's going on around you. If you're happy, you value yourself, and you know you're enough, doesn't matter what other people think of you. Because you love you. If this episode's resonated, I'd love for you to share it or tag us that you've listened. Because if we can just help change one person's thought or life, more of us can live a life more fulfilling. And until next time, keep it real.